Hello and welcome to Nikki and Joe Discussing Series. My name is Josiel Vasconcelos, but you can call me Joe.
And I am Nicole Camille, also known as Nikki, and we are two Brazilian advanced English students. I'm an English teacher.
And I'm an accounting student, and I'm passionate about the language.
And we have found here on this podcast a new way to have fun while we practice English.
If you love TV series just like we do, stay with us every week when we watch and talk about all the details of the episodes.
Don't forget to follow us on our Instagram, Nikki Joe Podcast, and stay tuned for upcoming episodes. Hello, welcome back to Nikki and Joe Discussing Series. Today we're gonna be talking about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, episodes 6 and 7. Episode 6, Mistaken Identity, was written by Susan Borowitz and Andy Borowitz, directed by Jeff Melman, and was originally aired in October 15th, 1990.
So the episode starts with Vivian and Phil going to Palm Springs. They're going to stay the weekend there with friends of Phil's. And Vivian asks Hillary to take care of Ashley because she thinks that Ashley cannot be alone by herself, I guess. But Hillary doesn't like this idea. And Vivian also tells Jeffrey to take the weekend off. And Jeffrey, of course, he enjoys this idea because the poor butler never has a day off.
Mm-hmm.
So Phil's friend's wife is learning how to fly a helicopter, and she says that she can take them to Palm Springs by helicopter. And Will, he also wants to go. He wants to go to Palm Springs.
Language Corner.
Will, before you get your mojo working, I think there's something you should know. You're not going.
Yo, you better tell that to my mojo, because his bags is packed.
So Will says, tell that to my mojo. And mojo can mean talisman, magical charm, power. So it has like the origins on magical stuff. But in this context, means confidence or personal charisma in order to attract or influence people. He's like already working on his mojo to get girls,
He also wants to go. He wants to go to Palm Springs, and somebody has to take the cars there. And Will suggest to Phil's friends that he should ask someone responsible to take the car to them, because he wanted this guy to choose him, obviously, because he wanted to go there. But Phil's friend actually chooses Carlton, and Will get surprised, I guess, because he thought he was going to be chosen.
And then there's this moment that I don't know, I think it was cringy because Phil's friend was trying to convince Carlton to take the car, and he says like that the women wear the skimpiest of bikinis, because
Yeah, he said this too.
yeah. And also Carlton, they do this joke. This part is like a joke because Carlton's not interested in the girls. He's more interested in golfing. They are kind of trying to make a joke about Carlton when they show that. So sometimes I wonder, I don't know, because the next episode, I think we can see a bit of homophobic jokes, and I wonder if this one is also, because I think that they are trying to say that Carlton is gay. Don't you think so?
I didn't get it this way.
Because he says the ladies wear the skimpiest of bikinis, and then Carlton says, yeah, I sure could use a good game of golf. Like, I don't care about the bikinis. Maybe he
Yeah,
just doesn't really care about it. So, yeah, okay.
No, I don't know. I just didn't see as they portraying Carlton as I don't know. I just didn't see it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so next scene, we see Carlton driving the car at night, and he thinks he's alone, and he's singing in the car, and Will surprises him. Will was in the back seat, Hayden, and he surprises Carlton wearing this Freddy Krueger costume, and Carlton gets scared because he thought he was alone, and
And
Will
also
said
because of the costume.
because of the costume too.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't get scared
Yeah,
with that
that's
costume?
a really dangerous thing to do, Will.
Hmm.
Terrible.
I have dreamt with Freddy Krueger before,
Seriously?
and seriously, yes, and it was terrifying. And I think if I had seen like someone wearing the Freddy Krueger costume behind me, I would have died there in the car.
Yeah, I
I would
haven't
have
watched
had a
this
heart
movie.
attack. You haven't? Yeah,
No,
you shouldn't.
because you know
You
that
shouldn't.
yeah, but I'm really scared. It scares me a lot is the Scream costume.
But I don't
Really?
think it is. I don't think it is scary.
Yeah, but the meaning, because if you see him, you're probably going to die because
Yeah, no, but
he's going
it's
to.
because have you watched the parody?
Yes, I'm
Um,
afraid of the parody too.
what's the name in English?
Oh, I don't know in English, but I'm
It's
really scared of it.
really the parody
Yes, even
too.
the all the scenes are they're creepy. I don't know. The guy who took Viagra and do you remember I think it was the beginning of the second movie. I don't know. And
This one is the
he
third or the fourth one, I
yeah,
guess.
I don't know. But yes, it's
But
really strange.
yeah, but I think the Scream movies are funny because of the parodies. It always
Mm,
reminds me of the parody.
yeah, it makes sense.
Um, yeah, going back to the episode, I they start talking during the road trip when they are stopped by this police officer, and he asks for the license and the vehicle registration. And Carlton, he's acting all respectful towards the police officer. He always tries to show that he respects his job, that he respects what the police officer is doing, like that he thinks that's a correct behavior. I think,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, and yeah, and then when Carlton takes the vehicle registration, he says that the car doesn't belong to them, and
I'm laughing
and
because it was kind of a recipe for disaster because
hmm
you know
he's a little stupid sometimes.
yeah. And I
Mm,
think not stupid, but we see later that he had never been on this situation before, and because of
yes,
that he's kind of how can I
innocent.
say naive
Yeah, naive.
because he couldn't imagine that this would happen to him,
Hmm.
so yeah.
And then the police officer, when he says that the car isn't theirs, um, will this entire moment with the police officer stopping them, Will's trying to show to Carlton that the police officer is not being friendly,
Mm-hmm.
and he tries to show to Carlton that no matter what he does, the police will always think that he's a thief or something like this. But Carlton doesn't want to listen to Will, and then after he said that the car doesn't belong to them, the police officer takes them to the police station, thinking that they are thieves, and we know why, right? Because we are going to see more about it in the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I don't know if it's a good time, but I would like to bring some data about police violence against black people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, clearly the officer doesn't care about uh, any anything that they're saying, they're talking, that Carton is saying. And I was listening to this podcast recently. I think I told you about it. Black History in 2 minutes, and I heard
Mm-hmm.
some data about police violence against black people. And according to the podcast, um, they bring some historical like roots for this racial disparity that happens in the prison system.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1865, about 5 years after the abolition, the government passed a law to demanding that convicts,
Mm-hmm.
black people who were,
Arrested.
yes, black people who were arrested, they would have to work as basically slaves in farms. And since they were not paying for this work, the farms weren't paying. The work that they would do there, it would it would be like even worse than when they were slaves, because they, they wouldn't waste any money if the convict were work until death. So it was really terrible. And
Mm-hmm.
they brought some like data again, that before abolition,
Mm-hmm.
99% of prison inmates were formed by white people, and afterwards 85% were black. So it's really weird if you think about it. Why before abolition, people white people were the majority in prison, and then when black people were free, they were incarcerated. They were,
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
yes. And so of course we see that it's because it was in pro of free labor, and
Mm-hmm.
they would like profit more when they arrest people, black people. So terrible. And nowadays, according to them, 40% of the inmates are black, and black people are only about 13% of the U.S. population. So again, it's still weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's due to racism and capitalism. Of course, they still make money off black people's lives, because if you are a prisoner there, the prison will earn an amount of money per day, um, for each people who are incarcerated, that are for the inmates. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, they still find a way to profit out of black people's lives. So it's something really, how can I say? I don't even have words for it,
It's
but
something
it's
that
revolting.
it's something that used to happen during those times, but it's still very recurring nowadays, I guess.
Yes, it's sad
And
that again we are seeing this happening, this contrast between Fresh Prince of Bel Air, that that is a TV series from the early 90s, and the same things still happening now on 2020. So
hmm
yeah,
a lot of things haven't evolved yet,
yeah. But
sadly.
some other things, I think they are better, right? So we have to. Uh, oh my goodness, the dogs are crazy. I have to keep on having faith. I don't know. That was my comment. I have another comment later.
Mm, yeah, so after that scene, Carlton and Will they are in the police station. The cops are asking them some questions. They are kind of they are trying to make them confess that they are thieves, that they stole the car. And Carlton tries to tell them that the car belongs to his father's friend, but the police officer thinks, yeah, he says that they live in Bel Air, and he says all the truth. And Will's trying to show him that no matter what he's going to say, the police is always going to think he's lying. And the police officer thinks this is kind of a joke, and he thinks the guys are being disrespectful, like,
Mm-hmm.
because he doesn't want to believe that two black dudes, like, who are driving a car in the middle of the night are like rich people with rich friends or white friends. And Will tries to say things like to make the police officers, like to make the cops stop. Stop what? Like,
He's trying to avoid more questions, I think.
yeah, he's trying to avoid more questions. And he's saying things like to try to calm the situation.
Yes,
And
and it seems like Will knows the whole routine, you know?
yeah,
So it kind of gave me the vibe that
he
uh,
has been through something like this before in
yes,
his life. Yeah, I thought the
yeah.
same, because he acts like he's experienced in this kind of matter, not
Yeah,
only
it's
in this
like
scene
he knows
but
everything
also.
that it's like he knows that everything that the cops will do. Like,
Yeah, actually he does.
yeah.
Everything he says happens.
Mhm.
And we get this we understand this, that Will has been through the same kind of things before, because of this scene, and also because of some things that we're going to see later in this episode. That Will's trying to tell Carlton how the police system works. And yeah, we're going to see more about it a little further today.
Mhm.
And after this, the cops put them in a cell because they are pretty sure that they are thieves and that they're lying about being rich. Yeah, and then we cut to the scene when they are in the cell. They are with a guy. There's this white guy with them in the cell, and Will is a little scared of him, I guess. And and Will is worried about Carlton just a little bit, not much. And he starts singing, trying to make cheer Carlton up a little bit, because he was too worried and afraid of what was going to happen to him. The only thing that Carlton could think about was the university
Yeah.
and what was going to happen with his image after that, and all of those things that he's always
Yeah, but if
crazy
he
about.
were really arrested and because he would actually lose the chances to go to a Ivy
Mm-hmm.
League school. So
Yes.
yeah, I think he had the right to be worried about
Mm-hmm.
that this time.
Yes. And then Will tries to cheer him up singing. And yeah, and they start singing, and the other guy that is with them in the cell, he starts singing too. And but he sings like he's
A
those
musical.
kind of, yeah, those kind of musical. And Will's like looking at him
Mm-hmm.
with a scary face, with a scary look in his eye, and he says something funny. I'm gonna quote what he said to Carlton. He says, "Anytime you see a white guy in jail, you know he did something bad, because we know that the police is usually more like, at least they are trying to emphasize that the police is usually trying to arrest black people in
Yes,
general."
and the data that we saw puts that in evidence. I don't know.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Because yeah. Yes, just a quick mention. They again dropped another historical aspect on the show when they sang "Let My People Go." Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to this podcast again, the same podcast, and I heard this song, and I immediately like remembered that it was about this. It was this religious group. This song "Let My People Go" was performed by this a cappella group, Fisk Jubilee Singers, which was the first African American musical group formed like about 10 years later, 10 years after abolition. So it's really important, I think, to mention that. And it's interesting because this white guy knew the song, So yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
thought it
it's
was
great.
what?
Uh, I think it's great that the show is always bringing in these small doses historical aspects about black people.
Mm-hmm.
So just doing a bit of a advertisement, not paid. uh, if you want to learn more about the Jubilees, this group, and Black History, check out the podcast Black History in 2 Minutes. It's really interesting.
I think I've heard about these guys, the Jubilees. It's like three guys in a white suit, or four guys,
I don't know.
or
I think
not.
they were like a I understood that they were a big group that started in this university, Fisk. Um, it's a African American university,
Mm-hmm.
and I understood that they have like this kind of, it's like Glee, every year they cast other members
Mm-hmm.
to participate on the group, and they would be like a choir. So yeah.
After the scene when the guy sang, Will has the idea he says that he's going to confess that they stole the car, but only if they broadcast this live on TV, so that they can call the attention of their parents from that their parents are watching some kind of game in Palm Springs. And Will has this idea to um, confess live on TV, and yeah, and it works. They bring some, like, the press comes to interview him. I don't know why it was such a big deal, like that they would actually call a reporter to.
I think it's because it's a rich place, rich people, so they really wanted to catch the thieves. So yeah, I think that's why they went there so fast.
Yes, and then it works. They can A reporter comes, and they Will starts, like, he's dressing as a thief, as a bad guy, and he starts saying a lot of things, like that they did it, that they stole the car, that they, I don't know, a lot of things related to the crime. And
He's looking like a lunatic with a
with an
broken
eye
leg.
patch.
Yeah.
And 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 then when they are going to interview Carlton, he starts crying, calling for his dad, as we all knew that he was going to do. And after this, Vivian and Phil saw them on TV, and they went there. They went to the police station to pick them up. And Vivian, she immediately gets angry because she knows that the police made a mistake by arresting them. Vivian demands that they let them go, but the cops don't want to accept it, and they tell her to shut up. And Phil, he gets angry when when he hears it. He gets pissed, actually, and he starts saying a lot of things. And the
Yes, the
police,
cops were really disrespectful, like
yes,
at the very beginning, to this couple. Like they are like 40-year-old people. They wouldn't be like messing around, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
the guy didn't have to be so disrespectful, but we know why. So yeah. Okay,
Yeah, we know why.
continue.
And yeah, and then Phil was pissed when he heard the cops telling his wife to shut up. And but the cops are still being disrespectful. They, as you said, we know why. And then Phil's friend shows up, and he's saying that he's saying that the guys didn't steal the car. He's saying that he's friends with Phil and they are partners. And only after these white guys showed up, it was when the police officers believed them.
Yes, that Phil was a real. He believed that Phil was a real lawyer.
Yeah, only after the white guy showed up. And and then Phil starts saying a lot of things to the police officers. He was demanding that they would release the guys. And but most importantly, the phrase that had more impact, and I quote, "I will tie this place up with so much litigation that your grandchildren will gonna need lawyers." And only after this, it was when the police guys, the policemen, released them finally.
I don't know if you noticed, but one of the police officers is played by Hank Azaria, who was David on Friends. Do you remember him? You
Who
didn't
on
remember
Friends?
him?
Which one? Which character?
One of the police officers were Phoebe's scientist boyfriend, the one who went to Minsk.
Which one?
Oh my
To
god, I think it
Minsk?
was the one who said, let them
David.
go.
He was David.
Yes, he was David, the one of the police officers. There's three police officers, and one of them was the guy who played David on Friends. You didn't realize that?
No.
Oh, and you
No, I
call
did not.
yourself a big fan?
No, I'm a big fan of Friends. I just don't like David.
Seriously? Oh, I
Yes?
love him. He's one of my favorite, like my favorite cast members.
David? Really?
Yes.
He's so useless to me.
Oh, he
I think
was
he's
a bit weird, but he was really nice.
I
And
think I just don't like him because I'm Teen Mike. So I guess because of this I don't like David.
yeah,
I
I
don't know.
was, to be honest, I was really divided between the two of them if I had to choose. I think Phoebe actually she didn't really choose because David had to go to stay in
Minsk.
Minsk. Yeah,
Hmm.
so yeah, he was
Yeah,
pretty
but I don't
nice.
know. I think Mike, because her story with Mike was so unexpected. Was so like it was meant to be. The
Mhm.
way that it happened, the way that it started. And why are we
Yeah.
talking about Friends?
Yes,
It
yes.
is not the show.
Let's go back to
This is not
freshman.
the show.
One day
Focus.
we can make a special, but not today.
Oh, I had so many things to talk about Friends.
Yeah, we should do like a special episode, like a
About
Christmas
yeah,
special. I don't know.
yeah, with facts about Friends, with Friends facts.
And all the Christmas episodes of Friends, like we could talk
Yeah,
about it
yeah, we should do
in
this.
a whole, yeah, every episode together. So yeah, let's come back
Uh,
to
so going back to the series that matters now, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They went back home and they start talking to. No, first they went back home and Vivian asks Hillary how their weekend was, and Hillary said that they went to this cafe. Actually, Hillary said that Ashley did some housework. I don't remember exactly what she did right now, but she did something for
yes, like she
Hillary.
did everything for Hillary
Mm-hmm. And then she said that
because
to reward her.
Jeffrey was there on his day off, but he was not supposed to do anything. And I forgot to mention this, but it's really sad that apparently Jeffrey doesn't have anywhere else to go because who would
Yeah,
stay in the place you work when it's your day off? But
yeah, I
yeah,
noticed this too, but I think that is because he's from England. Maybe he doesn't
yeah,
have any relatives
but
or
he lives
other
there
friends.
since Hillary was a young child, so he was
Uh-huh.
supposed to have people already. It's really sad because he clearly he um his life is the family. Like,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
yeah,
but he's also part of the family.
yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, but he should have some other relatives or
Mm-hmm.
friends there. It's
Yeah,
weird. It's true.
it's sad.
And Hillary said that to reward Ashley for doing the housework, she took her to a cafe and they drank a espresso. And Vivian, when he heard this, she got worried about Ashley because Ashley cannot drink espresso. I don't know why. But then Ashley shows up running all around the house like a lunatic, like a crazy person, uh, because she's all energetic. Yeah, and then no, and then Ashley wanted to do a lot of things at the same time because she was full energetic for drinking espresso. And Will and Carlton start talking about their experience going to jail, and they start saying what happened, how it happened. But yeah, Carlton said that the cops were just doing their job, and still, after everything that they went through, he still he still shows respect for them. In a way that he still looks like he's trying to believe that the cops were he's still trying to believe that the cops were good guys, that they were doing this for the right purpose.
Yeah, but it seems to me like he's in denial, like it was such a shock that he still uh couldn't digest that it just happened
Mm.
because of his color.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Will gets pissed when he hears it, because he cannot believe that Carlton would be so innocent, would act so naive, and he starts saying that, yeah, but what Will's trying to show him is that this is how a black guy is going to be treated by the police, no matter what you're doing, no matter how honest your intentions are. This is the kind of things that will happen to a black guy. And Carlton, the only thing that Carlton says is that he believes that they were just doing their job and that he believes in the system.
Yeah.
He, I think he wants to believe that it works, that the system works. Will still tries to show him that the only thing that got them arrested was their color, but it's useless. Carlton doesn't want to accept it. Carlton was telling Will, he was trying to convince Will that the only reason that they were stopped was because they were driving too slow. That's what he wanted to believe. Will still tries to show him that they were arrested because of their color, but it was useless, so he left. And then Phil comes to the living room, and Carlton says, if you were a policeman and you saw a car driving 2 miles an hour, wouldn't you stop it? And Phil says, I asked myself the same question the first time I was stopped. And we see that Phil also had been through these kind of things.
Yeah.
And Carlton sits alone in the living room. It's a very strong scene. Carlton sitting on the couch. He starts reflecting and he says, I would. But in that scene, we can see that he starts to think about the situation. He starts considering the real reason that they were arrested. Yeah, I just felt a little sorry for how much he wanted to believe that they weren't a victim of racism.
Yeah, or
Um,
Carton, so he spent so much time like in the air quotes white like society that he can't see it, that he believes that, you know, black people look suspicious, you know, that he kind of
mhm.
has prejudice, discrimination against his own race. I don't know, it's something to
I wouldn't
think
say that
about.
he has. I wouldn't say that he has prejudice against his own race. I just think that he doesn't think that there is prejudice
Mm-hmm.
against black
Yeah, I
people.
mean,
Or maybe he does. He does know, but he doesn't think it is a big deal
yeah, which is also a
because
way
of the way
of
that.
like
Uh-huh.
not considering people who suffer prejudice all the time. So it is still
Yes.
bad. I don't know. It's
Like
something for
he
us to
he
think
doesn't
about. You
know.
know,
Uh-huh. True.
analyze maybe deeper. I don't know. If someone has a, so if someone is listening and has another theory about that, about Carlton's behavior, um, you know, let us know.
Yes. Episode 7, Deaf Poets Society. This episode was written by John Bowman and directed by Jeff Melman, and it was first aired in October 22nd, 1990.
Starting by the title of the episode, I guess it's a reference to the very famous movie from the 90s, Dead Poet Society. Do you remember this movie?
I'm not sure if I have seen this.
Yeah. But in this case, the poets aren't dead, but they're deaf, which it's short for definitely, or also can mean very good or excellent, which I think it's a bit funny because no one in this episode is that good of a poet. So I
Mm-hmm.
think there was a kind of joke there.
But I
And
think Will's poem was pretty good, actually.
yes, he was very creative, but
Mm-hmm.
like I just think about Jeffrey performing his poem here because it was really strange. But
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Very weird.
yes. The episode starts with Will voguing, um, which I would like to mention because this is something that I saw in other TV series, and it was like a Madonna hit on during the 80s, and
Mm-hmm.
like everyone likes to do the voguing from this time. Like I think it was early 90s, late 80s. And Phil arrives home, and I think he gets a little bit annoyed, in my opinion, when he sees Will doing nothing. And he was at work like the whole day. And he
Mm-hmm.
suggests that Will finds a after school activity. And we get a funny moment here on the beginning with Hillary because she clearly doesn't go to college that much, but
Mm-hmm.
she still trying to reinforce the importance of doing other activities after school so you don't become shallow. Because if you are, as she says, it's really important because if you don't do other activities, you become shallow. And because of that, you miss the most important thing that is the best nightclubs. So for me, it was really funny to see again she, like trying not to, saying that she's not shallow, but acting really shallow. It's something that it's like
Very ironic.
yes, and it's like a thing about her personality.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Phil says that if he doesn't want to do join a club, he should go do a part-time job, and then Will kind of imagines him working on these fast food companies, and he's kind of dreading. He's kind of afraid of this reality. What I think it's kind of interesting because he was not born rich, and this is like a very common part-time job that young people from the US they tend to do to get like an extra money, money to go out and these kinds of things. So it seems to me that it's kind of getting too used to the bank's lifestyle. It's starting to get into his head. And I don't know. What do you think about that? Did you get the vibe?
I just got this vibe now that you mentioned, but it makes sense. Like he's been living with them for a few months now, I guess.
Yes. But yeah, he's kind of interested in. It kind of shows that he's interested in making his education better, like putting in, like in first place somehow. Even though he
Yeah,
still jokes around a lot.
yeah, he's getting used to that kind of lifestyle.
And then because he doesn't want to work on fast food, he agrees to go to a club. Oh, sorry. Yes, a school club. But then there is this silly joke that I'm starting to get this. I don't know if I'm seeing homophobia where there's not, but
What?
he says, I am down with staying at an all-boys school after dark. Like, like if something was going to happen to him. I don't know if he stays there. It looked a little bit like he was
Yeah,
implying that he's going to be, like, air quotes.
molested.
Yes. So, yeah, it gave me this, like, a homophobic joke sort of thing.
Yeah, but actually there is a very explicit homophobic joke in this episode.
Another one?
But like when he's in the end of almost in the end of the episode, when he's saying that he only got into the club was to get girls, and he says like, um, why would guys were getting poetry clubs for another reason that wouldn't be to get girls, something like this. And in that scene, he said something else that was a little that could relate to some homophobic meaning, but it was something related to this.
Yeah, I didn't catch that one. No, no, for me it was more like disrespectful towards women than other, groups.
Yeah, maybe both.
We cut to the school and he still hasn't decided what club he will be part of, but then of course, he sees girls and he follows them to see what they're doing, and they're taking poetry, and he just joins the poetry club with this teacher. I think his name is Ned, who is kind of trying to get along with him, talking about Denzel Washington, and as if that would impress Will.
Mm-hmm.
And
He's that exactly kind of teacher that wants to act cool, that he wants to act like the students.
yes,
He starts saying some slangs and something. It was very cringy to watch, a little bit.
sorry.
It was a little cringy the way he talks.
Yes, he's all the time trying to impress him, trying to say that he, I don't know what he's trying to say. Like he went to the same groups that will, he's assuming that because
Mm-hmm.
he is black and Denzel Washington is black, that will get Will's attention. I don't know. And I really like the scene, the next scene that the girl starts to read a poem by Sylvia Plath, and I kind of envied her because when I was in school, we didn't have the chance to have this kind of clubs, to read poetry. And yeah,
Is
maybe
there any kind of club in our, at least in schools in our state?
yeah, I don't know. Even in uh, at my college, it's a state college, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only clubs would be like the ones who the students would prepare, and also the studying groups that are focused on post graduation programs,
Mm-hmm.
the studies about the post graduation programs. So yeah, poetry was something that was not really, as it is, right? It's not really seen as such an important matter. So yeah, I didn't
Uh-huh.
have that. And then when Will is there in the class, he immediately makes up a poet because he sees that there are some girls that he got interested in, and then he makes up a poet called Raphael de la Ghetto, which
Mm-hmm.
is really funny because it's like Raphael from the ghetto,
Mm-hmm.
and the teacher, he says that he knows the guy. So
Yeah.
again, to
Again.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and he makes up a poem, and he starts reading this poem, and everyone enjoys it.
The poem actually gave me goosebumps. It
Seriously.
was yeah,
The
yeah,
clock is
because
ticking,
it was
talking.
no, it was because he was so because he made up a poem like out of nowhere with the things that he had in the room. It was kind of creative.
Yeah, he was really inspired. It
Uh-huh.
seems like he has maybe he would be good at it. So and then everyone likes the poem, and the girl, this particular girl, I think her name is Christina. She
Mm-hmm.
kind of seems to be hitting on him. Like, she says the words like passionate, exciting, my body quivers, like
Mm-hmm.
trying to get him. I don't
Too
know.
bad.
I wasn't gonna say that, but I was gonna
Well, yeah,
say
that's the final point.
yeah. Yes, and then Will starts to get home, and he gets home and immediately starts to write more poems to impress her. And then we see Jazz. He shows up, like, I think it's been like many episodes since the last time that he was there, right? And then yeah, Jazz is there. He kind of jokes about the poetry, and again we see Will making that joke about Carton not acting, like, air quotes, black
Black.
enough. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of lost count of the many times that he said the same joke. Maybe the only episode that he didn't say was the last episode, episode 6. I don't know.
I think
So
it's because Will is very um I think he's very disappointed for seeing a black guy. He doesn't respect and who doesn't understand what goes on
yeah, I
in
think
the world, like with all the racism and in all the thing that Will's been through. I think he's just disappointed for seeing someone like I'm not saying that he's right for doing what he does to Carlton. He's not right for saying this kind of stuff, of course. But as I see is that it's like I think he's disappointed for seeing this, that scene.
yeah, I think there are also like more layers to this
Uh-huh.
matter, because it's like because every time that Carlton kind of does something to diminish him. He plays the card that he doesn't look like a black person, you know. So I think there's also this prejudice that Will has against Carlton because of the way, yes, of his behaviors. And yeah, everything that we talked about on the first episode, it's pretty bad because it's not because you're black that you have to act like everyone else, you know. So yeah, it's really problematic. Next time I'm just gonna count, you know, like the 70 it's the like
Million.
the 10th time that he does that. Yeah. So
Jess made some joke about Phil.
Jess makes a joke about Phil's weight, right? Again. Oh my god. It's now that I'm rewatching, there are so many things that didn't age well, you know. It's sometimes hard to see
Some things
that.
did, some others didn't.
Yeah. We get here a little bit of information about Jeffrey's life, that he used to be a poet. And we also get the information that Vivian teaches literature in college. We hadn't seen that
It
before.
was the first time that they mentioned this?
I think so. Because I mentioned before, but it wasn't time yet. It was like a spoiler. And then Christina arrives there and he's kind of playing the sensitive poet, you know, to get her like more interested. And I think she kind of pressures him to take the poet to their school. You know, she's kind of begging him to bring the guy to the school and promise him, like, kissing him. And I don't know, it's like she's using her in order to get the poet to appear in the school.
He's using her? Or
She's using herself as an object to make a trade, you know. I don't know,
She's using herself as a weapon to to get the guy into school.
yes, more like I would say a product, you know, like she's not saying, but for me she's acting like that. If you bring him to our school, we can have something. I don't know. I got that impression. And then Vivian hears that there's going to be this poetry reading on the school, and she wants everyone to go. And then Philip says that if we show up there, we will cramp his style. Language Corner.
Wait a minute now, Vivian. Let's be a little sensitive here. Will only joined the poetry club because he had a crush on Christina. If we show up, we'll cramp his style.
Okay, you're right.
Cramp his style in this context. Cramp means to inhibit someone from acting freely or naturally. So what he's saying here is that if he'll be there, Will's not going to be able to act like he would. Like, for example, to kiss the girl, to hook up with the girl, if they are there. So, yeah, that's it. Of course, there's no the poet that Will is supposed to take to the school. It's not going to be there. So he asks Jess to find someone who would act, who would be this fake poet. And on the day of the presentation, the poetry reading, he doesn't show up. And Jeffrey steps in to help Will, and he puts on the dashiki, that outfit that he's wearing, and the afro, and he reads the poem that Will wrote. but he gets too excited and starts like performing his own poem from like, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago. And it's really a funny moment because he gets too like, it's like it seems like he's in a play or something. And
Yeah, it was his time to shine.
yes, but then everyone notices, like people who knows him, start talking that it's actually the butler, and and then what happens next is that Christina talks to Will like, what the fuck, and then Jazz, not to, it seems like he doesn't want Will to go through this bad situation. He steps in and he steps in and says to Christina that he's the actual, yeah, that he's actually
It's a
Rafael
mix.
de la Ghetto.
It's a mix of French with Spanish, I
Yeah,
guess.
no, I think it's Italian, right? I don't know.
Italian,
Yeah,
ghetto
Rafael, I
is
think it's an Italian name. Oh yeah, it's like
Rafael.
Rafael is an Italian name. De la Ghetto, it's like
De la is
is
Spanish.
Spanish with
Yeah. And ghetto
Ghetto.
is French.
It's, yeah, a really
It's
mix. Yeah,
a mix of Latin culture.
and then Jess wins her over, Christina, and they like go out together. And well, it's kind
Yeah,
of
he wins her over, but it's not like he wanted to. He was just trying to help Will, I guess.
yeah, but
But he
also
but then yeah, but then he took advantage of the situation when he saw that she was interested in him,
yes.
and then he took advantage.
But yeah, Will is okay with that. He doesn't care that much. He wasn't that interested in her.
Yes.
It's not like he was in love with her, right? He was just
It was
lusting.
just uh-huh.
And
It was just a crush.
yeah, and then when he gets home, like everyone is kind of praising him for his poetry, and I was like, he just did something really wrong and embarrassing, but he doesn't care at all. If it was me, I would be really embarrassed, because the whole thing was fake. But no, everyone's like praising him and they are laughing about the situation. And I think it doesn't give him much of a sense of responsibility for his actions, I know. But yeah, he's kind of, we could see that he's really creative, but still I think that he, should have like felt a little bit guilty. Don't you think so?
Well, I agree with you that he is very creative. Um, I also mentioned this in the scene when he created the poetry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to emphasize a little bit on this creativity matter because since the beginning of the show, we can see that he's very creative. Uh, when in the scene when he meets Ashley and when they are in her bedroom, like in the first episode, I guess, he starts like rapping a lot of things. He
Yeah.
starts creating a lot of rap songs out of nowhere. And yeah, he always does something like this that he creates things like in the moment, out of the blue, that not everyone would be able to create, I guess. And yeah, I think he's very creative.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
yeah,
he
at the
has a
same time,
future in arts.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that he would have a very good future in art.
Yeah, I don't know yet because I haven't finished the series. I think there's only 4 episodes left, and I couldn't go through the last episodes of the final season. Okay, And then on this last scene, we get another, like, because we only have few scenes with Vivian right now, and we get just bits of her, of the aspects of her personality, and we get here that she it's a studious person, you know, she appreciates poetry, and she reads this poem by Amira Baraka. And again, they are bringing to the show this cultural and historical aspects of Black African Americans' historical and cultural background. And this guy was an activist and a writer during the, he started like during the 60s. And he used to write about against racism and colonialism. So another like positive point for the show, because they bring this sort of stuff, and I think it's really interesting because like it makes us want to learn, you know, to know more
about the
about,
background,
yes, about the,
what's behind the show.
yeah. So I think it's great that they do that. And also they have this little comedy, like this little joke at the end. If you want to learn more about poetry, go to Dava. He doesn't say it, but it's like he's going to say a website or something, like he was doing a advertisement. And I think it's really funny because I do that in my house like all the time, because sometimes when I'm talking too much about something, like it seems like I'm trying to sell a product, and I stop and like talk to no one, to my family, like
You
we're doing
tell it, you say it to yourself,
No,
like
I say
the
it
way
out
that he.
loud. Yeah, it's like because my family we're all really in each other's mind, you know. And sometimes we joke that we live in a TV series. So
That wouldn't be a surprise for me.
so yeah,
But what a bad TV series it might be for me.
mine would
Mine,
be really funny.
no, mine wouldn't.
I think it would be like a complete series, like a comedy drama show, the best kind. So yeah, we finished this episode with this little joke, and I also like when I didn't used to like it, but now I appreciate when they do like this joke, looking at the camera, talking to the audience. I don't know, I think it's interesting.
Yeah, it's different.
So yeah, what did you think about these 2 episodes?
Yeah, both the episodes had two completely different critical matters.
Yes. For me, the funniest moment of this episode was when Jeffrey was performing his poetry, and he's saying like cannons to the right, cannons to the left. It's really a really dramatic reading, and I thought it was really funny. What about you?
For me, I think my favorite scene was one scene in the other episode, in the previous one, when Carlton calls his parents. He's trying to talk to Phil to pick them up at the police station. And Phil's friend's wife is the one who picks up the phone, but she doesn't understand what Carlton's saying. And he says that he's in jail, and she thinks that he's going to Yale.
Yeah.
And I guess that was the funniest moment for me. So, that was it for today. Thank you for listening to our podcast.
And don't forget to follow us on our Instagram, Nikki Joe Podcast.
And hope to see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.